trusted partner in open source management.
Let's get started with one that shouldn't come as a big surprise given the growth in AI generated code. So we think AI coding assistants specifically will play a more prominent role in software development in 2025. So this continuing shift, we think, will impact use and management of open source in practical ways. According to a GitHub report, there's been a surge in global generative AI activity. So we all know that AI is growing and evolving fast. According to that same GitHub report, in 2024, there was a 59% surge in the number of contributions to generative AI projects on GitHub and a 98% increase in the number of projects overall. So, from my perspective in the consulting space, many of our clients were fairly concerned about the about use of AI generated code like a year and a half ago, and many wanted to pause to see what the impacts might be when it came to use of potentially unknown or unknown use of copyrighted material. There seems to have been a broader awareness and acceptance, I think, over the last 6 to 9 months. So it seems like AI generated code and use of AI coding assistance by commercial organizations seems to be normalizing. So that said, there's still additional considerations beyond just accepting its use. Managing open source license compliance with AI generated code is still new-ish ground, and it's presenting challenges not fully considered by some organizations. For example, most AI solutions for developers don't currently disclose information about the origins and licenses of source code that they produce as an output. There are a few, or at least a couple, that have some information. Even if these AI coding assistants were trained using only permissively licensed open source, there's still obligations that need to be met, even if that means you only need to reproduce a copyright notice and license file. But how would the average user be able to comply with the licensing obligations for source code from an AI's output if they don't know who the copyright holders are or what the license terms are? So interestingly, we've had an increase in the number of requests for us to assist with detecting use of AI generated code in order to help put together a more comprehensive license compliance material. So from our perspective, we treat AI generated code similar to how we would treat something that came from Stack Overflow or any other copy paste of code. So this generally means we're running a scan and looking for code snippets or other evidence of open source that might require attribution or other licensing obligations. John, over to you. What are some of your thoughts on what will happen with the use of AI coding assistants?
Thank you, Russ. I think you're absolutely right. The usage of these tools is certainly normalizing. And I selected a few quotes that I think help us understand how quickly things are evolving and also what to expect from the future. The first one being from Mark Zuckerberg himself, an interview that was released last week, where he said that AI agents will match good mid-level engineers this year. And that doesn't mean that AI agents are going to replace engineers. It's just that they are going to take care of a lot of the tasks that we engineers do. I think, as an example, I had a conversation with a friend of mine that works at the car manufacturer last week, where he made it pretty clear that they haven't been developing unit tests for quite a while, and it's the same story here in FossID. We rely on an AI coding assistants to do that task, and I think very likely, code reviews is probably next in line, where AI coding assistants are going to do a very good job, and it's going to make us much more efficient. So I think we'll see many tasks being replaced, not necessarily engineers being replaced. The next quote is from GitHub survey from 2024 that says 97% of developers admit to using generative AI. And that doesn't mean that they're using generative AI on a daily basis, but certainly that they have used it, right? And 97% is a large percentage. Pretty much almost everybody have used it by now. And I think we'll see that all of them adopt it going forward very quickly. Third one is 40% of platform engineering teams will be using AI to augment every phase of the software development lifecycle. And that will be by 2027, according to Gartner. And so think about it for a minute. I I'm talking software development lifecycle. There's a lot of things that go into those phases, from planning to analysis, design, development, the testing, implementation, maintenance. AI will be touching all of those phases. And I couldn't agree more. Probably will happen even earlier. Another really interesting quote from that article from Gartner is increased reliance on AI generated code may lead to 25% of production defects during or due to insufficient human oversight. So that's also interesting. You know, maybe some of us won't be losing our jobs after all. So yeah, there's still going to be human oversight that is required, and we're going to coexist with AI coding assistants, for the foreseeable future. Um, let's move on to the next slide, where I first uh, lay down the kind of options that as a developer you have today, from GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, Code Whisperer from Amazon, Claude from Anthropic, and Cursor AI from Anisphere. And these are some of the ones that I have tried, and some of the I would agree I would say the most famous ones. But there are many more that I haven't tried that you will see, like GitLab Duo, Tab9, Codium AI, and in December 2024, Google released a new model called Jules. So there's a lot of models out there. I have been using Copilot since the closed beta in 2021, and I've been blown away by the progress and how much efficient it makes me as a developer. And in recent weeks, I've actually moved over to Cursor, and I think Cursor from Anisphere is absolutely incredible. I think it improves the suggestions a little bit, and that is helped me become even more efficient than I was with Copilot. So really blown away by the progress. The current situation, the way I see it, is a little bit Apple versus Android, where on the one hand, we have dominant players with enterprise offerings, and on the other hand, we have a diverse ecosystem of startups. We have, the dominant players being obviously Microsoft, Google, Amazon, where the diverse ecosystem of startups would be Anthropic, and then Anisphere with Cursor, and many more. Like I said, there's only so many I can try during the time that I spend in front of my computer. So there are many that I haven't been able to try. I look forward to do so. I think the problem with all of this is, like Russ mentioned, is license attribution. And these tools, for the most part, focus on efficiency, don't necessarily focus on license compliance. But there is, however, two of these tools that do offer some built-in functionality for license compliance. And first is Copilot, which has code referencing, and also has the ability to turn off suggestions that match publicly available code in GitHub, that is. If you use code referencing, then suggestions that come from Copilot, provided that they match repositories up to November 2021 from GitHub, then you have a link to those so that you can do the proper license attribution. And then if we move over to the other one that has some built-in functionality, that would be Code Whisperer. They call it code citations or reference tracking. I've seen both terms. I don't know which one they're going to go for, or if they'll be using both. So code citations and reference tracking. And they also have functionality to filter license certain suggestions depending on the license. So license filtering. So I guess if you don't want to use maybe GPL code, you can configure the tool to not suggest GPL code. But the little testing that I've done, I seem to have the coverage of this functionality is a bit unclear to me. It seems that I'm getting matches to AWS training repos, but not necessarily things outside that. So I haven't tested enough. So it's unclear the coverage of this functionality. Long story short, I think license attribution is to a great degree still a big challenge with AI coding assistant tools. And if we go on to the next slide, um, so as Aaron mentioned in the beginning, we at FossID, we do open source audits for M&A transactions, and we've been doing so since 2016. So we've been gathering data ever since, and it's really fun for me to go back and look at that data and look at the statistics and see what they show. Um, in this slide, we can see the usage of or the snippets that we find in the open source audits that we conduct, and from 2022 to 2023, we see a small increase, and I think that increase is also present in previous years. Ever since we started, we see a small increase in snippets, and I think that's probably related to a certain degree to the fact that we keep increasing the coverage of our knowledge base, we keep improving the matching algorithms in our tool, and that probably would have something to do with our ability to find more snippets, certainly. Um, but then we have an incredible jump from 2023 to 2024. I cannot attribute that jump in usage of snippets to increases in our knowledge base or improvements in our matching algorithms. I don't know for certain, but I think that this is probably related to the usage of AI coding assistants. So developers are using these more, and as a result, there is more code fragments that we find in these audits. Um, so license compliance due to this is certainly getting trickier. Now, you always had to care about snippets, I think, but now there is so many more snippets. So that makes it a bit more complicated to do license compliance. You don't have to care only about components. You need to care about small fragments of open source as well.
Your trusted partner in open source management.